we need your help. Every spring, the Knabusch Math and Science Center floods, and it has been changing our habitats like you wouldn't believe. Trees are falling down, there are fish swimming on the trail, and things just aren't what they should be. So how does this happen? The answer comes down to wind direction. Wind has the ability to move large amounts of water. We're directly connected to Lake Erie, and Lake Erie has so much water in it. So when we have our winds coming in from the east pushing west, it takes all of that water from Lake Erie and it pushes it straight into the channel. That channel can only hold so much water. Its edges aren't tall enough, so as that water level rises in the channel, eventually it crests over the outside and it floods our woods. So weathering and erosion can happen in a couple different ways. We talked about how flooding happens a lot here. So the flooding, or even possibly rains, causes weathering of the soil. It's going to be pulling that soil away from the ground. When that soil then moves away, it's called erosion. So when all of the water comes in, it saturates the ground, it makes it so wet, and then when that water moves back out, it pulls that soil, it makes that soil leave, and it leaves bare roots. Well, bare roots aren't good for trees, so even the smallest breeze can cause that tree to topple down, because there's no way that that tree can stay in the ground without those roots holding it tight. So how is all of this weathering and erosion affecting the Knabusch Math and Science Center? Not only are our trees falling down from having the soil stripped from their roots, but we're seeing water standing on the trail. That water standing on the trail is bringing in algae, it's bringing in different plants that we normally don't see. And when then that water recedes and it pulls that water and that erosion pulls all the sand back with it, we're getting a much rockier bottom, which makes it a little bit different for our animals. They don't often like walking on the rocks, so they're starting to take different pathways. When it was flooded, we saw lots of fish swimming along our trail. So when that happened, it connected our pond to Lake Erie. So now we have different fish swimming around in our pond that typically wouldn't be there as well. Larger fish like carp and possibly even some pike. We do have one animal out here at the Knabusch Center who has been loving these changes. With the increased waters and the flooding, we have our beaver family who is getting a lot more access to trees they wouldn't have had before. So when a beaver takes down a tree or branches, they like to swim it back to their spot where they keep it, either under the water for the winter or at their lodge as they're building on the sides of their lodge. So now that we've been flooded, they can get to a lot more trees and swim those back, whereas before they would have had to drag those branches through the woods, which is not easy for a beaver. So with all this additional flooding, not only are we seeing trees falling down due to the erosion and being blown over by the wind, but we're having our beavers take down a lot of our trees as well. So we're depending on you. If you can come up with a way to stop that channel from flooding, we can keep our trails just that, trails, instead of waterways for all of you.